Kingsley's Adventure is a game I've been wanting to fully play for close to 25 years now. It's another of those PS1 games I've mentioned before, the ones I tried a little of on one of my uncle's many UK PlayStation Magazine demo discs back in the day. Demo disc 52, I believe. I played that demo a lot back then but never got to try the actual game. But even when it got to the point where I could afford to buy my own games, this was always an expensive one. I remember once passing on this when it was £30, now I'm seeing it sold for close to and over £100. So this is one I just caved and emulated for the video, to let my bank account breathe a sigh of relief. On starting a new game, we get an FMV intro where a load of kids are given a puppet show explaining the game's plot, narrated by the late great Bernard Cribbins, by the way. Shame everything else in the FMV drowns his voice out. In the Fruit Kingdom, carrots are fruit in this world it seems, a wizard disguised as a chef named Bad Custard stole the Queen's Book of Spells. He made things crappy and the realm's best 4 knights set out to stop him, but got transformed into his servants. But it's alright, because orphan fox kid Kingsley can sort it out. I start inside this bedroom in Carrot Castle talking to Kingsley's aunt, Adeline. He tells her that he's going to become a true knight and take down Bad Custard. Adeline gives him a shield and tells him to go find Old Wrinkle for help becoming a knight. Kingsley has some tank control for movement. He can swerve to the side while running, but stopping and doing a turn is more efficient. In one of the back rooms there's a chest with some money inside, 50 coins for an extra life. I then go down the stairs to find that Old Wrinkle is waiting for me. To become a knight, Kingsley first has to finish his training, so Old Wrinkle opens up the training rooms for him. So I go through the door behind him to start the platforming tutorial. Jump across the gaps, sounds simple, but with moving platforms, a pendulum and the tank controls, it can be a bit tougher to jump in a straight line than you'd expect. I make it across and the trainer at the end grants Kingsley the weapon he'll need for the next part. It's a basic dagger. Into the next room where I'll have to fight the drill sergeant and win. I give him a stab while he prepares a swing and he runs off. To avoid humiliation, you have infinite health for this fight. Although he will get annoyed if I take too many hits and tell me to actually use the shield I'm holding. Just keep that up until his health bar drains. He tells Kingsley to practice with the crossbow in the next room. So I leave the room and grab the arrows and then turn the corner for the shooting gallery. I equip the crossbow and shoot down the 2 targets in the back. That opens the door for the next room where I'm shown how to shoot the crossbow in first person. The target is moving behind a set of walls, but I get it with my first shot. This opens the door to an apple key. Outside the room is an apple-shaped lock for me to use it on. I go through the door it opens and my next tutorial is being taught to pull switches, then that I can push and pull blocks. I push it into the slot to open the next door. Next lesson is timed switches. I step on one to open the next door and have to get through it quickly. That's all, and the armourer at the end takes back the dagger and crossbow. Behind him is a teleporter into another room. I raid the chest for more coins and spot this juggler who I can't interact with at all. Old Wrinkle is opposite him. He says that to become a true knight, Kingsley must complete the king's quest and find the true knight items. When Kingsley asks where they are, he says not to worry about it and to go talk to the king and queen. He also gives Kingsley another dagger that he can actually keep, through the door into the main hall, where there's money lying around in the fountain. I turn to the side and at the end of the hall is King Marius and Queen Angelica. They congratulate Kingsley on his apprenticeship and start talking about the quests. The first one is in Seatown. I'll have to find Briny Jim who'll tell me the rest. Now those are names I barely remembered from the demo. Angelica gives me the key that will let me into the basement from the library, which is where the foxhole leading to Seatown is. The doorway opposite where I entered the hall from is one I want. I keep moving forward until I see some books on the floor and then follow them into the doorway to the right, taking me into the library. A chest in here has a heart for recovering health, of which Kingsley's maximum is 5 hearts. I use a key to open the path to the basement. But first I check out the doorway opposite the library leading to the kitchen. A chest with more coins in here, and Sleeves the butler, who has no purpose other than to add flavour to the castle. Now down to the basement. There are 6 cells down here but only 2 are open, so I go into the first open one and kick this spider to death. The chest in here has more coins, silver ones being worth 5. The other open cell is on the opposite corner. It has a green key to open the cell across from it. That one leads into the cell next door where there's a switch to open the cell opposite the one with the chest. In here is the foxhole to Seatown. Now that music takes me back. This is the region that the demo disc let me play. I never forgot that music even after all these years. I talk to Jeff, this blue bird guy, and ask if he needs any help. He doesn't, but says that Briny Jim is worried. He's in his barrel-shaped bar, the Salty Sea Dog. Nearby is this house with lifeboats piled up outside, and inside is a chest with more coins. Turning around and going the opposite way I started moving, I go in this house. Inside lives Hardtack. He used to be the lookout on Briny Jim's ship before someone called Gallagher stole it and put him out of work. Further in that direction is a house belonging to the Smith family. Mummy Smith has grounded their kid for stealing, and Daddy Smith can't dive for oysters thanks to Captain Gallagher making Cutlass Isle too dangerous. Making Gallagher harder to deal with is him being protected by the crocodile Rex the Ruthless. Also, Baby Smith is upstairs, but he just cries. Outside the house is a winch I can inspect with a giant anchor out in the distance. It's too rusted and Kingsley isn't strong enough to pull it. Nearby is Nobeard, who claims to be the fiercest pirate in the Fruit Kingdom, as long as he forgets about every other pirate more threatening than him. Back to Jeff and past him, I can see the barrel-shaped bar. Inside, Daisy, the barmaid who claims not to be one, says that Briny Jim is behind the bar. In the corner are Sammy and Stephen, who ask what Kingsley's doing here. When he says he's after the True Night items, they have no idea what he's talking about and say to talk to Briny Jim instead. So I do. He tells me what I've heard from others, that Captain Gallagher has stolen his ship and cut off trade with Seatown. He says that Sir Rufus of the Rabbits built an undersea tunnel that leads to Cutlass Isle from a secret trapdoor behind the bar, then to a lighthouse to find the entrance to a cave. He opens the trapdoor, but first I have a couple more houses to check out. Behind the bar and running along the mountains is another barrel-shaped house, Bonnie's side. No one inside, but a chest with some coins. Then across from the bar is a house on the pier. This is a restaurant. I can have Kingsley mock this guy who's been waiting for his girlfriend for 3 days. Then behind the counter I can steal a heart from a chest before being told by the owner, Maurice, that they're closed because of Gallagher cutting off his fish deliveries. Now to go through that trapdoor. I'm shown this lighthouse, but I'm dropped off further down. There's nothing in my way as I run up the cliff and enter the lighthouse. Then inside it's down the stairs into the cave. Down here I face my first proper enemy, a fishman with a sword and shield who gets a few hits on me because I forget my own shield again. At least he drops some health when I kill him. Past that is avoiding some cannons firing endlessly and punting the crab. Around the corner is a chest with more coins and a lobster I can kick about. I fight my way down the stairs and to the next screen. Now for more of that platforming. First I jump a gap with a swinging anchor passing through. Cross another while also avoiding more cannon fire, and then down the stairs to the next screen. Next screen has several downward slopes passing through the path forward. I go up the first slope only to get flattened by a giant barrel waiting for me. Behind it is a switch I pull, then past the next to find a closed gate and my first fishman wielding a trident. When I kill him, he drops a key. Then back to the second slope and down to pull a switch that turns out to release the barrel further up and flatten me again. Behind the barrel is a chest with a silver coin inside. Then up the third slope in front of the gate to get flattened again because turning is so slow and backflipping away didn't help either. Another switch at the top that opens a gate so I can get through. Next screen starts me at the top of the slope with a giant barrel rolling down into the opposite side and then back up to the start. I run behind it only to fall in the water, take damage, get spawned right at the water's edge and have no way to avoid a flattening when the barrel comes back. I manage to jump the water when it comes back down for me again and turn through the gap in the wall only to be killed by another barrel on the other side. I have limited lives, but I am checkpointed at the start of the room I died in. Jumping distance can be very inconsistent in this game. Even with a run up and jumping at the edge, Kingsley still fell in the water. A few more falls and I make it into the little gap. I aim myself at the next gap to jump and then still get flattened the second I move. But I make it to another gap and touch this paw print, which is another checkpoint. I jump one last gap and run all the way to the top to reach the next room. More jumping across water to mess up while avoiding more cannon fire. This time I get to watch Kingsley die by drowning. There's quite a few rafts to jump and the weird jumping inconsistency results in another drowning. Next time I make it all the way across only for the orca with a morning star to finish me off right at the end. I kill him next time and take the teleporter behind him. I really did not remember how much cave is between the lighthouse and Gallagher from those times I played the demo. I think I reached Gallagher at least once back then. To start with, there's a chest with a coin and then I have to run downhill while a boulder follows me. I don't realise there's a gap in the path and fall to my death. So there's fall damage too. Luckily I just gain enough coins for one more life. Next time I make the jump but fail the next. But that ends in my favour as the second gap was above water, so I just take a little damage and respawn while the boulder passes me. But when I fight the enemy across the gap, one more boulder laser focuses on me and hits me. I knock the enemy into the water and reach the bottom. I then take the inflatable raft down here to the next screen. There's more crabs and more big barrels, also a chest with a heart. I run uphill, avoiding all the falling barrels, and then balls up another gap jump, landing below and losing my last life. After the game over, I'm put back at the start of a lighthouse and have to do it all again. I make it back to this screen with 4 lives left. And I fail that jump again because Kingsley got caught against the wall. Next time I finally make it, to land on a very thin path that rolling barrels take up all of while I'm turning. But at the top is a checkpoint and a teleporter that puts me on the top of this tall wall off to the side. I have to run along this narrow path, jumping gaps while also staying ahead of another barrel rolling towards me. I manage to make all the jumps without falling and reach the bottom, ignoring the mace orca and jumping onto the raft to the next screen. This takes me to the boss arena. I open the nearby chest for more coins and confront Captain Gallagher. Also, Kingsley can talk underwater. Gallagher has a blunderbuss to fire cannonballs with when I'm at a distance and his own sword when I get up close to fight. I block and stab him in the gut and he then jumps to a distant platform to fire a couple shots. I find dodging hard at first thanks to how slow Kingsley's turning is. He jumps back over and has to adjust his trousers, giving me the chance to stab him in the arse a couple times. When he jumps back again, I start awkwardly sidestepping out of the cannonball's way. He jumps back, but I fail to dodge and get flattened. And that's the fight. If I run low on health, there's hearts all over the place on these platforms. When down to his last third of health, he'll start firing 3 cannonballs from a distance instead of 2. But that's it and I take him down easily. He falls over and shrinks into nothing, Kingsley does a little victory dance, and Briny Jim's galleon appears. There's 3 more chests around the arena containing coins, and once I've opened them, it's onto the galleon to ride it back to the pier and return it to its owner. Briny Jim grants Kingsley his first true knight items in return, some armour and an axe. Kingsley must now return to the castle, but Jim reminds him that Rex the Ruthless still hangs out at Anchor Castle. I'll have to come back later when I can actually do something about that. The axe is just straight up better than the dagger, doing more damage with no downsides. You can chat to everyone for new dialogue now everything's better, but it's time to get back to Carrot Castle. I return to the King and Queen so that Kingsley can show off his new items. The Queen manages to get out a quick compliment before the King immediately tells Kingsley to get off to Poor Luck Village, which is being terrorised by a dragon. The remaining foxholes are all outside, so they had the front doors open for me. The door is at the complete opposite end of the hall from them. The first gate opens and I go through it for the foxhole to Poor Luck Village. Within seconds of arriving, Kingsley antagonises Jacques the Swordfish because of his experiences fighting swordfish working under Gallagher. But Jacques had nothing to do with that and is retired anyway. Jacques says he's here because he lives here, but Snuff the Dragon keeps raiding the place for its food, so he's going back to Seatown before he starves. He tells Kingsley to follow the footprints if he wants to find Snuff. In the house behind him, the blacksmith is too starved to work while talking, and nearby this is the second restaurant in a row where business is bad because they can't get their food. And right after Antonio tells me of the struggle Snuff has put his business through, I steal the few coins he has left in the corner. Another nearby house has Ethel, who's ill from the diet of just spinach and crusty bread she's been forced on thanks to Snuff. I don't care about her troubles though, I just want those 2 coins in the chest. It seems Snuff just doesn't like spinach, as Ernie next door has also been stuck with that as his only food. But like Ethel, I don't care, I just want the 3 coins in his bedroom. And of course, the bar only offers spinach juice right now. Dr. Crane interrupts the conversation to ask if I could find his friend, an orange mouse, if I go into Snuff's cave after him. More importantly, a heart to steal. I don't even need it, I'm at full health. Now to get following Snuff's footsteps to his cave. You can't miss it, the entrance is shaped like a huge dragon holding a knife and fork. Right away the path forward is being blocked by 2 snake statues breathing fire. Next to them is a chest containing a pair of spiders. On either side of the entrance is a set of stairs to a wall I need to run along with a switch at the end. Push both switches to remove the fire so I can move to the next room. There's a transparent red key in here and some steps of a switch that make it appear fully. Jump over to grab the key and then use it on the lock right in front of me to reach the next room. Another chest in here with a silver coin. A transparent purple key in the back and 2 switches that need to be pressed within the short time of each other to make it appear. Grab the key and open the other chest in here for more coins. Through the doorway in the back to find a closed gate and to the right a green switch. Press it and quickly run around the corner to find another green switch and press that to open the gate, and then through it to the next room. In here are several items on platforms that I just can't jump high enough to reach, including a yellow key. It takes a few minutes for me to notice that the first dip in the ground here from when I entered turned green when I stepped on it, then stepping on another had it glow red. So I have to figure out the correct route I have to walk through here. It doesn't take me too long to work it out and here is the correct route. All the items sink down, allowing me to grab the yellow key, an extra life and some coins and hearts. Then back to the previous room. Right of where I found the purple key is the lock for the yellow key. I unlock that gate and go through. The other doors in here open and out come green sword-wielding versions of Preston from Wallace and Gromit. My new axe takes these guys out a lot quicker than Gallagher's henchmen in the last world. One of them drops a silver key used on this nearby chest for some hearts. I take out the other and use the purple key to move on to this teleporter to the next room. But here we get the room with narrow platforms covered in slime. First I run around the ground below the platforms removing any enemies. Once that's done, time to run along those walls, but it's a fucking nightmare. The slime speeds you up and seems to make you gravitate towards the edge to make it even easier to fall off. Then there's the fact the walls turn, and Kingsley's tankish movements make that a nightmare to keep on top of at high speeds. And then there's the part where you're jumping rapidly and must keep up the momentum or you're starting again. While I was tearing my hair out with this, I had that awful thought. I'm sure we've all had this at one point. You're finally playing a game you've been wanting to for years and then realise, oh no, I might not like this game. And the thing is, this is reason number one above anything else. Putting frustrating platforming segments in a game where the movement controls do not support fun platforming. Maybe swapping out the jump button for a Zelda-esque auto jump at a ledge might have made this part more bearable. At least, as you get through it, they have these little clouds appear to let you try again further in instead of making you redo the entire thing. We get very small platforms and then large ones with big holes in them, and then walls around lava, riding slow clouds to the next part, and soon after I finally reach the teleporter to the next room. That was one of the longest 12 minutes I've ever had to deal with in a game. Right away I see a key floating by on a cloud over some lava. I go through a nearby doorway to find a pipe organ and a locked door. The organ's keys work like switches for me to step on. This leads to a lot of trial and error trying to work out the correct order of the keys. I'll know I've pressed the correct key when it stays stuck in the ground. Get one wrong and they all pop back out. But then I found out that back through the doorway and across to the other side of this room, the correct order is printed on the wall. So I do it right to raise a series of steps behind me, up them and into another room. I can see a lot of lava and in the middle a series of guillotines keeping me away from a green key. I turn right and find that I have more of this slime shit to deal with, then to drop down to the tiniest platforms yet while avoiding getting fried by the snake statues. At the end of that is a checkpoint and a chest with some spiders inside. More tiny platforms and then avoiding the guillotines to grab the green key. Thankfully lava isn't an instant kill, but I do get to see Kingsley graphically burning to nothing when I run out of health, back past the guillotines and up the slope all the way for the green lock. This takes me to the previous room but across the lava. The chest here has a heart and the one on the other side some coins. From here I can jump onto the cloud and grab the yellow key, then run to the yellow lock past the organ and move on. The goblin with a mace is behind the door. When killed he drops a key to this chest containing silver coins. I pull the switch to open the gate and go through the teleporter behind it. It leads me to a room with an orange key in a cage and next to it a red locked door. Jump the lava behind the cage and go up the stairs. Jump the lava with a guillotine above it and avoid the fire from the statues to reach the red key and spot a switch behind the gate. On the way back I find the layout of the path has changed to make the statues tougher to cross, followed by an extra guillotine above the lava. I get back to the door and unlock it to find a switch that opens a gate to the other switch. It also opens a door opposite me with more enemies and the orange locked door, plus a chest with some hearts and one with silver coins. Back to the switch to pull it to raise the cage. Now I can lose all my health on the way back brushing against fire. Thankfully the cage being lifted is saved so I can grab the key and unlock the door. Into the teleporter, and at this point I'm ready for this place to be done. But it's not over yet. I can see a yellow key out of my reach, a chest with 3 spiders, a locked chest and a timed switch at all 4 corners of the room. I run through them until the key in the middle lowers and I can grab it. I unlock the yellow gate and go through. It leads to a dark room lit by a huge firefly. I follow it to find a chest with a silver coin, a second one and a switch that this goblin kills me in front of. The switch opens a gate around the corner leading to a mace enemy and another switch. It opens the path to the next room around the corner. Right away is a key for that locked chest a couple rooms back, and a normal chest with a heart inside. Inside a cage here is the orange mouse friend Dr. Crane asked me to find, Tartrazine. Snuff locked him in here and next to the cage is the switch to raise it. Kingsley points out his fatness to his face and Tartrazine says that Snuff's chef, Nando, has been feeding him Snuff's leftovers. Kingsley asks where he is, to which he says the dining room and gives me the key I need to get there. I go back 2 rooms, unlock the chest for a gold coin worth 10 and then unlock the purple gate. I next have to avoid swinging rocks ready to knock me into lava. Past them are 4 chests, 2 spiders, a heart, an exploding one and a locked one. An enemy around the corner holds a key and behind him I can jump to grab a red key. Another nearby chest hides a silver coin and the one I unlock gets me an extra life. I unlock the red door for another mace enemy and go up the stairs to finally reach the dining room. Snuff is at the table and asks how he can help. They have a chat about Snuff stealing all of Polluck's food and it ends in a fight. Not only can Snuff breathe fire, but he runs fast and can attack with his knife and tail. After taking a lot of damage quickly, I run for the chests hoping to find some hearts. I take more damage during this though and go back to fighting him, hoping to block and attack at the right times. I get wiped out. It is really the need to run for those chests to heal that keeps finishing me. It doesn't help too when a chest just has coins or even spiders in it. That last one's just a dick move. It's not until my last life that I manage this fight. I don't push my luck, block an attack and swing once. Maybe I'll hit, maybe I won't, but going for a second swing is begging to be hit back. But he also has a kick that's faster than my swing, so even that isn't fully safe. When Snuff moves, I strafe with the shoulder buttons to make sure any fireballs he spit don't touch me. I end up with low health early on, but turning away from him to heal isn't an option. So I just decide I'm not going to get hit anymore. At his last third of health, he gives up on movement and just tries to stab me. This lets me very quickly whittle away the last of his health. They have a small debate over whether Kingsley killing him over what he did was justified, and Snuff drops dead, leaving me his knife and fork. I open all the chests in here again and go through the door behind Snuff's chair. Tartrazine introduces Chef Nando, who is happy to be needing a new boss. All of Porlook's food is in here and needs sending back. I open the chest next to this conveyor for some coins and one on the opposite side of the room for some more. Nando tells me that I need to flick all the switches to reverse the conveyor so that it moves back to Porlook. I take the doorway opposite where I entered from. This room has a long conveyor platforming section that isn't interesting enough to narrate, so here's the footage of me flicking all the switches. Just know it's a pain, with parcels and shit always pushing me off the edges. With that done, the conveyor is reversed and I can ride it back to this house in the village. There's a little kid, Lucy, who thanks Kingsley for giving her the chance to pig out on chocolate again, giving Kingsley second thoughts. The chest next to her has an extra life. I exit out of the one door that was locked when I first got here. Tartrazine invites me over to the blacksmith to see if he can get some use out of that knife and fork. Kingsley follows him and the blacksmith offers to make Kingsley a new sword. It turns out that the knife and fork were actually magic, making the sword he made Kingsley magic too. Turns out this is a True Knight item too. The blacksmith also has a pair of True Knight gloves lying around so that the sword isn't too heavy for Kingsley. Kingsley realises he may be able to use these gloves on the winch in Seatown. Everyone in town is happy they can eat again, but I don't check on everyone. I was worn out with this place by the time I was done, and quickly left so I can save and end that session for the night. Back inside Carrot Castle, I go back to the King and Queen. Queen Angelica says that Kingsley should next check out Rosary Village as something strange has happened to the villagers. King Marius says that Rosary Village is where the beer monks live, so maybe it has something to do with them. But first I return to Seatown. I return to the rusted winch, and Kingsley's magic gloves are so strong that he can pull the entire anchor ship to the shore. I head inside where there's a teleporter out of my reach, and a door opens to release a swordfish enemy. And also a switch that opens another door with another swordfish and another switch. Step on that one to open a door with a third switch, an orca and an extra life. The third switch lowers the teleporter and I take it. This has me finally meet Rex the Ruthless. He offends Kingsley by being unable to identify which animal he is, and the fight starts. Before he can do anything, I get a cut in and he teleports away. He leaves behind a cloud that drops lightning bolts, and when that disappears, whether through me being hit or outlasting it, he drops down to get cut some more. He'll also fire a green projectile. But that is pretty much the entire fight. He only ever fights back physically once, and by that point he's basically done anyway. Instead of dying, Rex is returned to his true form, Sir William, one of the 4 knights who set off to face Bad Custard and was defeated. Once he's filled in on what happened, he thanks Kingsley and wishes him luck. Now to return to Carrot Castle, and then back outside to the castle grounds where the next gate opens past the Porlook Foxhole. Sir William also hangs around outside. Through the gate is the foxhole to Rosary Village. As soon as I reach it, I am told by Adam, who has an arse for a face, that everyone who drank the monks' root beer has wound up ill. He's more upset that there was none left for him. He says that Hera's coffee shop is where all the sensible people are. The house next to him has no one inside, just a chest with a heart. The coffee shop is on the other side of Arseface. He said that's where the sensible people are, but Paul here has given himself a migraine with 12 cups of coffee. Hera is the cow who is impossible to talk to without it looking dodgy. Somehow her coffee is what prevents the people in here from getting ill. She gets Kingsley his own coffee cup. Up the hill behind the coffee shop and in the house is Stuart complaining of illness. Kingsley is too busy to help him and says he'll find someone else to do it. Upstairs I rob the little girl of her coins. Kingsley asks her to take Stuart home and she says she will. In the few seconds of loading when heading back downstairs, Nina has already walked Stuart home. At the top of the hill is another building shaped like a barrel. It's another bar, and inside is Uncle Alvin. He says that everyone loves the root beer the monks of Eggnog Abbey brew, but it was today's batch that made everyone feel so terrible. He suggests I go see the mayor, Sober Sid, in the town hall. Another house up here looks empty at first, but it turns out to be Stuart's, and he has no idea how he made it home. I run back down to the foxhole and Adam and take the other path and go uphill and around to find this bird, Toughnut. To make him feel better, I give him my cup of coffee. Kingsley then asks if he can see the mayor, and Toughnut unlocks a town hall for me. The mayor is also in a bad state. Kingsley's explanation for why he's here being too loud for him. Kingsley says he needs to get into the abbey to figure out what went wrong. So the mayor gives him the password. The root beer bottles are made of honey. Eggnog Abbey is uphill behind the town hall. I give the monk outside the password to be allowed in. Inside I talk to Ivan to tell him his root beer is poisoned. He says I'd be better speaking to Abbot Harry in the chapel to the right. Instead I go to the left into the kitchen and open the chest for more hearts. I head right next and ask this Tim guy if he drank the root beer too since he's so shaky, but the monks aren't actually allowed to drink any of it. Moving on to the right chapel, I speak with Abbot Harry. Kingsley lets him know about the poison and asks if there's an antidote. To make one, I'll have to find 3 herbs that grow in the Abbey's catacombs. The entrance to them will only open while the brewing machines are operating, and so he gives me the key to them. First open the nearby chest for some coins, and then back in the centre of the Abbey to use the key on this box to set off the machines and open the gate. Then through the gate into the main dungeon of this region. At first, all I have to fight are beetles. At the opposite end of the room, I go through the doorways to the next section. The door's closed behind me, so I can't go back to the start. There's a chest in a corner with some hearts, and doorways on the other 3 sides of the room. I go through the ones opposite where I entered from. I can see a herb in a cage on a small island in the middle of water. In the opposite corner of the room is another chest with an extra life inside. I can't work out what to do after having spent not a single second trying, and go back to the previous room and then into the one right from where I first entered. Right away I have to fight my first dogman with a giant cleaver, then open the nearby chest which explodes. There's another one with a heart nearby. By the first chest is a series of coloured pillars with a switch on them. I drop down into this little pit in the middle where there's a dogman and some coloured numbers hiding under the barrels. The colours of the numbers show which order the pillars should be pressed. Once I uncover them all, the correct order is purple, red, blue, yellow. The others aren't needed as those follow one of the herbs. I grab it and head back. I then go back to the room I gave up on. I missed this glowing yellow platform in the back first time I was here. Jumping on it and killing the beetle on it will have another platform rise from the water. Keep jumping to the next one and killing its beetles until I reach an island with a switch on it. The switch opens up the cage. Now I can go back and jump across the barrels in this water to reach the cage and get my second herb. Back to the centre room, and to prevent confusion, the rooms you've collected herbs in will be locked behind you. Just one room left. The herb is caged in the corner here. I get killed by my first rhino with a sledgehammer when blocking doesn't seem to work for some reason. Next time I kill him and all enemies in this room. There are a few coffins of differing sizes with keys pictured on the top that I can move around, and near each one is a glowing piece of floor that matches that coffin's size. You'll know they're placed correctly when the coffin starts bouncing. Place all 3 correctly and the cage opens, allowing me to grab the final herb. I return to the centre room to find Tim down here. Turns out he's not a monk, and he reveals his true form, Clarence Darklaw Jr., an apprentice demon out to kill Kingsley for a promotion. He'll swipe a claw at me for me to block and then counter. Once he takes damage, he starts flying around and shooting deadly sonar at me. After a few attempts at that, he'll try to fly into me. When he does that, I have to block him with my shield to get the chance to get a couple more hits in. That's the entire fight, just keep it up until his health runs out. He gives in and says he's going home, but then drops dead. The gates leading back the way I came have opened, and there's one last rhino between me and the exit. Harry is waiting for me, and Kingsley gives him the herbs. Harry says he'll mix them into the root beer, and then everyone will be better. Kingsley also tells Harry who was behind it, and he reacts as if Clarence has been a regular bother for the monks. He also has Kingsley's next 2 true knight items, some boots, and after being shown how to use a crossbow in the tutorial, I'm only now getting one when there's only one more full area left to explore. Overall, this place wasn't too bad. It had the least amount of platforming in it, which also makes it the least frustrating. Maybe things are looking up from here. The second I leave the Abbey, I'm not allowed back in, as the monks are busy making their next batch of root beer. I also can't visit the mayor, since he's also busy recovering. I check in on a few people, and Hera mentions that even with Clarence gone, the Dark Knight Oscar still has control over the village. But his place is across the canyon and I can't get across yet. I look around the village and everyone's starting to feel better already. I hop back in the foxhole back to Carrot Castle, and before I go back to the King and Queen, I jump back down the hole to Porlock. Behind the village is this ramp, and with Kingsley's new magic boots, he can jump the ramp across the river and enter the building on the other side. Inside is a bullman, Judas. Kingsley threatens to take him down like he did Snuff. Judas charges at me and then swings his head, moves I can block and punish. But I already had low health when I started this fight, so the first hit I take kills me. Judas also has a ground pound move that has boulders fall from the ceiling. This time I keep chasing him whenever he runs to a different corner and get my hits in then. I nearly get killed again by failing to block some headbutts, but chasing him and attacking him has him defeated in no time. He collapses and is returned to his true form as Sir Rufus. That's half of the knights recovered, and I return to Carrot Castle. Back to Marius and Angelica to show off my new items, only to be told that the Fruit Kingdom's wizard, Cornflower, has had his magic robe stolen. So now I have to go to Aphasia and help him. The next gate outside opens next to the foxhole to Rosary, so I go through and jump down the next foxhole to Aphasia. No town to explore, most of this place is empty. Cornflower is near the foxhole. Kingsley recognises him as he used to live in Carrot Castle when Kingsley was younger, but Cornflower has since moved out here, he thinks. He's trying to reclaim his magic robe to make himself strong enough to take on Bad Custard. He saw the thief run into the castle ruins further on. but the place is guarded by soldiers working under a Reggie, so he can't go in after him. So Kingsley will do it. Meanwhile, Cornflower will try and remember where his book-shaped house is. The castle ruins also unlock. His house is just up the hill a bit. While he's out, I steal his heart from the chest. The castle ruins are right next to the foxhole. So to start with, I have this narrow spiral to work my way down. There are pushing walls with drills on the end and sword-wielding rats to fight. At the bottom of the stairs is a locked chest, and every rat wound up falling into the acid in the middle, so no key for me. I follow the bottom floor around and into the next room. I walk along these grates having to jump gaps filled with swinging saws. I make it all the way to the end to find a yellow lock, so I drop down and pull the switch on the wall underneath. It opens up a door next to me into another room. Across an acid river is some targets being protected by rat archers. First time getting used to the crossbow since the tutorial. I lose a lot of health just trying to get the aim right. I take out the target on the right first and then get killed aiming for the second, because once again, Kingsley's movement options for dodging are shite. At least the killed enemies and shot targets don't respawn. The right target opens the right grate on my side, getting me an extra life. The other target lowers a wall in the middle to reveal one last target. What also doesn't help is this irritating scorpion stalking me, and trying to kill that while avoiding arrows from them two pricks in the middle is a pain. At least the left grate hides a heart. I especially like when I strafe to get the perfect aim only for a scorpion to walk in front of me, making Kingsley's kick take priority when I press the attack button. But I get them and shoot that target to open the middle grate for that yellow key. Now back in the previous room, I have to jump acid gaps while avoiding arrows from the walls so I can get back up to where I started from and jump those saw gaps again. I make it, unlock the door and move on. Now it's a hallway filled with spiky walls pushing forward from both sides. I get through and find two chests, which is good because I need health. The one on the left explodes, but the one on the right thankfully has a heart for me. Down the slope to the right is some acid followed by a wall covered in hearts with a swinging saw and arrows from the walls. This is just a trap, to make you lose health while trying to recover some. There's nothing else here. So it's down to the left instead, where there are 3 targets in the back protected by 2 swinging saws. I manage them, only missing a single shot, to open up the grate in front of the chests. Inside is a switch that opens the gate in front of me. You'll need a precise jump on that switch or you're going in the acid. Through the gate to the next room. I despise this room. First comes the swinging saw, but the platform I have is so tiny and centred that it looks almost impossible to make. Then arrows from the walls, and the part I really hate. First jumping past a saw into a platform, then jumping to the next. Then I die here, because building up the speed to make the next jump past the next saw is so difficult with the little space I have. Then I die before I can make it to the first of those platforms. Next time I make the jump and reach the other side where there's just a wall and an arrow refill. But then I turn around and see that the saws all have targets on the other side, so I shoot down these last 2, but getting back is a problem. Jumping on the end platform puts you in range of the arrows, and you need to spend time turning to aim your next jump. And this is another tiny platform, so it's easy to fail the run up and not jump far enough to reach the next. So I die again. Next time I get further back and drop the third of 4 saws. On the last one, to avoid jumping into more arrows, I just managed to shoot the last one down. Now I have to figure out what all that actually did. I know there are cells with items and switches behind the bars, but there's a few, and inspecting to see if any have opened also makes it easier to get shot dead. Which is what happens during my inspection, getting the first game over of this place. On the way back through, I managed to get the key for that chest in the first room, it's just some coins. Back again with 4 lives, and once again, that last acid section before the end wall kills me again. This time, now I know about the targets on the backs of the saws, I shoot them all down as I go, to find that shooting them all opens up the back wall to reveal a pair of archer rats who kill me. Can't strafe shoot them because of the knee-high iron frame on the door, and stopping to aim guarantees destruction. Then first person strafing fails because taking a single hit messes with your aim, and trying to move and aim at the same time wasn't happening. Game over again. If I somehow fuck up and drop to my death in the first room, I just wipe out the rest of my lives right there and start again. Just want to repeat that I really hate those last few jumps. One of the reasons the archers keep killing me is that this part keeps draining away my health first, but I eventually manage it. If you look out and kill the first one, dealing with the second is much more manageable. Behind them are 3 switches, and I press them all to open up some of the cells. Then I get killed trying to avoid the arrows in front of that platform on the way back. I was fuming. Then I lose all my remaining lives to the last bit of platforming before the end wall. So I have to piss about getting back again, taking out the saws again and killing the archers again so I can press those switches again. I make the jumps back across but no cells are open. I do it again and the closest one to the end wall is open. That's when I see that it doesn't stay open for long. So not only am I being rushed to that end platform with the arrows, I have to rush to this too with Kingsley's awful turning and inconsistent jump distance. Is it any wonder I die here again? Next time I make most of the jumps but still don't make it to the cell in time. It's another death before I make it into that cell and press a switch inside. I then have to do the same with the other 2 doors further down. The second one has an extra life and another switch to press. The furthest from the switches I just barely fail the jump into before it closes thanks to Kingsley grazing a wall, and I die again on the way back. This was the only door I needed to try with, as I find out next time when I finally get inside. The switch inside lowers a wall and lets me move to the next room. That was 48 minutes trying to get through that single room. Then I realise there's still an entire rest of the ruins to get through. In the next room there's a locked cell with a key inside, a switch to the right and a locked door to the left. I pull the switch to open another gate to the locked door. More of this tiny platform shit to deal with on the way to another switch. This one lowers the wall next to the previous switch I pulled, and the wall the switch I just pulled was on. Now for even more tiny platforms to jump across, except all 7 of them are also timed switches, so I have to get across fast. I make it through first try and lower another wall with a switch behind it. This one opens up the cell next to the first switch in this room. This one has another switch to pull that lowers another wall behind the gate I just opened. There are 2 chests in here, one with scorpions and one with coins. Flying around this room is a bat holding a green key. I shoot it down to take it, and the green lock is also in this room. Behind the wall is a target with a swinging saw in front of it. I shoot the target to lower the wall it was on. There's a huge boar man with a club, but instead of getting his attention, I hang back and fire arrows at him. He never notices me before I run out of arrows, then running in and giving him 1 slash ends him. 2 switches here, one lowers another wall behind the first switch, and the other opens the gate in front of me and lets me loop back to where I started. Through all the gates and walls I opened is a target behind a grate. I shoot it to open the gate keeping me from the orange key. I grab that and open the orange lock to move on to the next room. The next room starts with a red lock next to me and past it a locked chest. The red key is at the end of the path, and grabbing it lowers a piece of the floor below with a switch on it, along with the grated bits of the floor I just walked over. I drop down below where there's acid everywhere and open a nearby chest which turns out to be another explosive. Time to jump the acid. I take out the bar to get a key to the chest, and then press a switch I lowered, which lowers another switch in the spot I grabbed the red key, but also has a saw swinging out of the wall. A switch near the explosive chest brings me back up to the second level. I get to the switch which opens up a way back to the red lock but adds in more saws. I open the locked chest for a gold coin and unlock the wall to reach the next room. I'm shown a pair of switches kept out of reach by the grating in the walls. I jump the acid to this yellow locked door and pull the switch next to it that activates this statue to make it move forward onto a switch that opens the door opposite the lock into a corridor filled with more acid and saws. Luckily I don't have to platform, just shoot past the saws and hit the target in the back. This moves the statue to the next switch and opens another wall nearby. It looks like a basic jump over the acid corridor, but each of the platforms have a fan blowing me towards the acid, so I have to avoid being blown off while also aiming correctly at the next platform. But I just can't make that last jump and end up dying in acid again. Next time I finally reach the end and press the switch to move the statue to another switch that opens one of the grates. There's also a chest with some coins here. But I lost so much health getting here that I fail 1 jump on the way back and die again. I really hate the platforming in this game. Thankfully they actually checkpointed me opening that grate. Behind the statue is the yellow key and I can now unlock that door and move on. Well, once I deal with the statue coming to life and being fast as hell. I end up baiting it into falling in the acid. Now I can move on to the next room. There's a bat flying around with an arrow that I shoot down. I soon realise that the middle of the room is a target, and so I wait for the moment the bat is over the bullseye and shoot it then. This lowers the bridge to the next room. I'm begging this is the end of this place, but no. There's a platform hanging from the ceiling and arrows coming from so far away that I can't see without going into first person. I take out the archer on the other platform and shoot the nearby target to see that it moves the platforms. So I ride over to the other side where I see another locked chest and another archer hiding behind a small wall. I kill him to see he drops the key to the chest. I get on the nearby platform and shoot the target in the back to get these 2 platforms moving, needing to jump the gap when they get close. There's a checkpoint here, but it doesn't matter on my last life. 2 more archers with a target behind them and I'm out of arrows, and the only arrows are behind them, so I have to run up to them, taking damage, grab the arrows, taking damage, and get away so I can turn and shoot. Getting killed in no time and getting very pissed off at my latest game over. So much shit I have to do again, including the room I hate so much. This was the point where I stopped holding out hope and admitted to myself that I did not like the game. By now I wanted to be done with it so I could record something better. I make it back to the archers but still don't have enough arrows and get killed again. Next time I don't bother fighting them. I shoot past them and hit the target and get jumping on that platform it moves. I have 3 platforms moving side to side to cross and at the end is another archer, but I have just 1 health and 1 arrow, so I die again. Next time I'm not pissing about. I get up there and brain that fucker to death. Then there's a target to shoot on the opposite wall that opens up the exit. As I ride the platform to it, I find out that's time too, so a little more messing about before I leave this particular shithole behind. But the dungeon still refuses to end. I'm so done with chests having enemies in them by now. There's a crate I can push onto a switch that pushes another block up the stairs to create a higher platform. So I sub the stairs and onto that block so I can jump to the next platform and then past the saw to the next and then to the opposite wall. There's a checkpoint here and then up the stairs to push another block so I can take a cheap hit from an enemy hiding behind it that I could not predict or react to. Once he's dead, back to pushing the block so I can jump more platforms over acid and reach another checkpoint at the other end. Upstairs, push another block, open chest of coins, reach moving platforms, get shot by out of view archer, die trying to sort out aim, kill next time, cross platforms to the side, push block, kill bar, more platforms, more stairs, another block, third block, end of room. Finished yet? No? Why fucking not? It's another of these rooms with the moving platforms over a massive acid pool with shithead archers always off screen and always getting their first shots in because you can't see them right away. This time I'm dealing with them all while on the moving platforms. Now I can safely cross them as long as Kingsley's jump doesn't crap out again. I even get an extra life on the way. Of course, as I get further across, more archers start appearing. At the very last platform, I jump slightly too far left and die. I'd forgotten all about that one, I was so checked out while playing. On the last platform are 2 targets to shoot to lower a bridge that I then don't make the jump to and die again. But I make it next time into the final room? Please? Of course not. Now I'm at a 4-way intersection with giant rolling pins speeding by and 4 locks. I wait for the one in front of me to roll over without flattening me and then run right up to the other side. Desperately outrun another rolling pin up top here and just barely fail to avoid it. I somehow don't notice the yellow key here and keep running around, trying to avoid slipping down this slope into the acid. I spot the purple key and assuming the alcoves are safe, grab it. They are not safe and I die. Last life. I at least keep the key. I use it on the first lock. Then going around the corners I also grab yellow, green and orange. Then back down to the middle to use them on all the locks. This opens a doorway at the top of one of the slopes. Maybe now he's the boss. Oh, fuck off. I shoot the ball into the acid, jump on the platform and shoot the target nearby to raise said platforms. Target off to the side, kill the archer under right away before it becomes a problem. I am not getting another game over and repeating all that shit again. The target above rotates the platform I was just on, so now I need to work out how to hit it while I'm on the... Know what? Not only was I so sick of this place while playing, I've now become so sick of writing about this place. This doesn't happen on this channel. Here's the footage of every step I make towards the boss of this place. And there's the teleporter that takes me to Reggie's room. Fucking finally. Dude, I don't care about what you have to say, I just want you dead now. He creates shockwaves that kill me in no time. Good thing I picked up that extra life just before I got here. He creates large shockwaves and after that tries to hack me with his rod. That's the point where it's safe to hit him back. Then he teleports away and repeats the pattern. There's hearts all around the walls to heal with. At about half health he stays mostly still and lets me beat him to death. Good. This place is fucking shit and far worse than the rest of the game. I gain Cornflower's cape and a door opens in the back where Bad Custard is waiting. Open the chests and have a talk with him. He brags about how his Dark Knights will defeat Kingsley. I guess he's unaware that 2 of them have already been dealt with. I take the teleporter and end up outside. Over to Cornflower's house to be given the final True Knight item, a magic gemstone for the shield. If I use the shield on the outskirts of Rosary Village, I'll be able to reach the next Dark Knight. And back to Carrot Castle, then back to Rosary Village. I find the spot I need to use the gemstone at to create a series of gemstone platforms. They're tiny, but I make it across them all without falling to reach the castle at the other side. Oscar is a bald eagle. He'll fly around the arena carrying eggs. Shooting him will make him drop them, causing them to hatch spiders. The time it takes for me to kick 3 spiders twice to kill them lets Oscar drop an egg on my head without me seeing him. And that's the whole fight. He only takes minuscule damage so it goes on for a while despite how basic it is. I was very glad to finally kill him when I did, as I was hit from death myself and I didn't want to repeat that tediousness. Oscar returns to his true self, Sir Gawain. After some bald jokes, I'm done with Rosary Village completely and return to Carrot Castle. Kingsley is finally getting knighted, Aunt Adeline, the juggler and Old Wrinkle showing up for it. Someone hasn't been keeping the king up to date, as he says my next job is defeating all the Dark Knights. There's only one left. And this means I have to return to Aphasia. As soon as I enter, Cornflower makes a bridge fall from the sky. He doesn't tell me why, he doesn't have anything to say about the bridge and just talks about the gemstone instead. Over the bridge is a tower, and this guy in front says that I can't get in, but the eyes of the statue are the key. So I climb one of the smaller towers nearby and shoot one of the eyes of the statue at the top. But my arrows just bounce off them. Turns out the left tower was the wrong one to start with. Up the right one is a gold arrow that actually works on the eye. With that eye shot and closed, a gold arrow appears on the other tower so I can shoot the other eye. This unlocks the door and I go inside. It's some sort of massive beehive and there's a few big ones flying around. There's also a green lock at the opposite end of the room. There are 3 honeycombs with items inside that I can't jump into and a honey block that I can push around. I push the block onto this tile with a key printed on it to raise some steps to the door by the lock. I can also jump off the block into the honeycombs. Each of the side ones have some coins and a time switch inside. Pressing both will make the green key appear in the 3rd honeycomb. But as soon as the camera returns to me and I'm granted control, a bee kills me. Next time I get pushing the block to the final honeycomb, but the key disappears and the bee there kills me. Another game over, but there's no progress to be lost here thankfully. The timing on this thing is strict and takes a few more attempts, but I managed to grab the key without dying again. I unlock the door and jump down one last honeycomb into the boss arena. This is where Gustav is waiting. He starts by throwing his axe at me. This starts out as a typical block and cut back fight, but then he teleports onto the wall surrounding the arena and starts throwing magic balls at me. I was weakened from the bees getting here and one hit landing kills me again. Next time when I block his first attack, I manage to attack enough to take a third of his health at once. Then once he starts fireballing, lose most of my health waiting for one of these lifts to be down so I can ride up and lose my last bit of health from an axe swing as I approach him. Next time I make it up and manage to batter him some more. He jumps back down into the arena and this pattern repeats until he's defeated. Sir Orson is restored to his true self and I can leave this place forever. Back to Carrot Castle and back to the king. They just tell me well done and to go to Skull Island through the next door that opens in the castle grounds. One more gate opens past the Aphasia Foxhole, leading to the Foxhole to Skull Island. Skull Island is barren. There's nothing to do other than follow the path all the way to Bad Custard's lair. That was so short, a pretty good song got wasted being placed here. Bad Custard wasn't expecting me to get here and the final battle begins. He tries to whack me with a spoon while I either block or hit him first, but the low health from the Gustav fight means I die not long in. Take out a third of his health and he teleports to the next level up. I have to ride the lift up, but then he turns out to be on the floor. Even dropping that tiny distance causes me fall damage. I get him down to half health and he teleports again. Back up the lift and now he tries to stay on the opposite side of the floor throwing spells at me. And he is almost guaranteed to get a hit in when there's just a tiny gap between him and you, but you just can't reach him yet. One hit and he teleports again. Thankfully there's a heart on the end of this plank. Another hit and he teleports to the next level up. I get lucky when I find him this time because he was too busy walking and couldn't cast a spell in time. One hit and he teleports away again. Then once more to send him to the top level. Then he seems to get laser precision and hits me twice in a row from miles away. I hit him once more and he teleports away and instantly nails me in the back of the head, leaving me a hit from death. I scramble around for any remaining hearts, but he manages to kill me when I get close to him again. Next time I get his health even lower before he kills me. On my 5th attempt I get into the tiniest sliver and he charges off across this plank to the end. That's where I can get the final hit in and be done with this game. He threatens to be back one day and then falls back into his cooking pot, dropping the Queen's magic book, which Kingsley catches. I then get a credit scroll with everyone just staring off into space. Then after the credits it turns out that Kingsley was the one performing the puppet show from the opening. What a disappointment after wanting to play this game for so long. Look, I know, it's 2024, I'm 31 and this is an obscure mascot game from 1999, but I wasn't expecting my life to be changed, I was expecting at bare minimum an enjoyable time. But instead we have another 40 Winks outcome. I'll be honest, if the entire Castle Ruins section was removed from the game and replaced with nothing at all, this game might have wound up on the lower end of the OK section of the ranking. Seatown could get a little annoying but was fine, Snuff's Cave I didn't like, and Eggnog Abbey was decent. But then the Castle Ruins highlights all of the game's flaws at once. First is the controls. Semi-tank controls were bad enough, but I could deal with it were it not for all the platforming I had to do with them. Especially quick platforming when Kingsley can't turn for shit. Then the live system. A 3D Zelda-esque game with dungeons has no place having a live system. Imagine, for those of you who played Ocarina of Time as little kids, dying 5 times and having to repeat the entire water or spirit temple from scratch. Now imagine Link controls far worse than he does in that game, and that's the experience of playing this game. Those 2 decisions dragged this game down. Maybe removing just one of those things, better controls or no live system, and the other flaw might not be as infuriating. I'm actually wondering if I've been too lenient with where I've ranked this game, but it does have a few things going for it. It has a soundtrack that deserves a better game, and there's a definite Banjo-esque charm to it with how it doesn't take itself seriously, along with the mumbling sounds when characters speak. Plus, at least half the game isn't actively awful. In the end, it's a shame. I think this game was better off just being some vague memories of a demo from 25 years ago.